Once a year we throw a party here in town. Once a year we turn our fannies upside down.
The only way to get what you want is to become human yourself.
Can you do that?
Oh, my dear sweet child, that's what I do.
Oh, lighten up, Cogsworth, and let nature take its course.
It's obvious there's a spark between them.
Yes, but there's no harm in fanning the flames, you know.
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mangello, and this is show number 523, and I'm here once again, not only to help you have the best possible vacation experience when you go to the parks or a cruise, but I also want to bring you a little bit of Disney magic wherever you are, not just with the podcast, but with my videos, live broadcasts on Facebook every Wednesday night, my books, audio tours, special events, and group cruises. You can find everything over at WDWRadio.com, and please come join the community and the family over at WDWRadio.com/community. I'm excited to welcome back to the show my friend Ashley Eckstein. You might know her as the voice of Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars, the creator of Her Universe, and now the author of a new book, It's Your Universe, You Have the Power to Make It Happen. We'll discuss her fascinating and inspiring journey from Walt Disney World cast member to her iconic role in Star Wars, the story behind Her Universe, as well as her new book and how it might help you live the life you dream. I'll then have the answer to our last Walt Disney World trivia question of the week, and I'll pose a new challenge for your chance to win a Disney prize package. Then stay tuned to the end of the show. I'll have more information about upcoming special events, meets of the month, your voicemails, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. Dreams come true more often than you might realize. And I don't just mean dreams of meeting a prince or Princess Charming, becoming a doctor, Disney making a great Spider-Man movie, I love you, Kevin Feige and Tom Holland, or the Giants winning a Super Bowl. I mean dreams that we have as kids. The specifics might be different, but at our core, I think it's to be able to do what we love every day, and maybe, just maybe, even make the world a little bit of a better place along the way. And today, I'm joined by someone who's a shining example of not just only dreams coming true, but having a positive and, more importantly, inspiring impact on others as well. She is Ashley Eckstein, who is not only the voice of one of the strongest characters in the Star Wars universe, but who started more than a company, but really a seismic transformation in women's fan fashion, and one that allows fans from all over the world to warmly embrace their geekdom. Ashley, it has been way too long since we spoke, but I want to welcome you back to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Lou, and thank you for the wonderful introduction.
It's my pleasure. And you know, this is actually, we were saying before we started recording, this is not the first time we've spoken, and I looked back to see when it was. We've known each other for more than 10 years. I first interviewed back in 2010 and at Star Wars Weekends, and you were so warm and so friendly then and every time that we've met. So I'm very excited for this new chapter, intentional pun, in your life, and thrilled to be able to chat with you this morning.
Oh goodness, thank you. Yes, it's awesome to be talking to you today, especially after knowing each other as long as we have. And I actually met you before I even launched my company, Her Universe, at Star Wars Weekends, just as the voice of Ahsoka. So I probably even talked to you about my crazy ideas of wanting to do fashion for fangirls, and I appreciate you always being so supportive.
No, well, thank you. This is great, and I'm super excited to talk about what you've been doing and maybe even a little bit of what's next. But before we get to what's new with you, I want to go back for maybe the people who don't know, because I know that you're a huge Disney fan now, and we'll get to a little bit more of that. But I want to go back a few years and tell me, what were some of your earliest Disney memories growing up? Like, were you a Disney fan as a little girl?
Oh, yes. Yes. I have been a Disney fan really ever since I would say it started when I was about 18 months old. And in fact, it goes further back than that. I think if I got my DNA tested through like 23andMe or something, I would have a Disney chromosome in my DNA. But it actually started back with my parents. They went to Disney World on their honeymoon, and they actually made a wish while they were on their honeymoon, and they wished that my dad would get a job for Disney World and that they would move to Orlando and start a family and raise their kids Disney. And that's exactly what they did. And within, 3 years of making that wish, my dad became a meat and seafood buyer for the Walt Disney World Resort. And I was 18 months old when my dad started his job. And so I was literally raised Disney. And so, I mean, so many of my firsts as a kid were at Disney World. I met Santa Claus for the first time. I learned to swim at Disney World. That's actually Little Lake Bryan for those that, go way back. They had swimming lessons for cast members' families. I learned so many things and had so many firsts at Disney World. And so it's literally Disney is a part of me. It's a part of my soul.
And it's a part of your soul and your heritage and so it's even part of your family that didn't know they were going to be part of this dream that your dad had, because people may or may not know that your husband is David Eckstein. Now, for those of you who are not necessarily familiar with that name, he may or may not have been the 2006 Major League Baseball MVP, two-time World Series champs for the Angels and Cardinals. Tell us, when you met him, I get the sense that maybe you brought him into the Disney fold, because I remember some of our conversations when we first met, not just about your wedding, but about your home.
Yes, yes. David, he grew up actually in Sanford, Florida, which for those not familiar with Central Florida, it's just it's a town just north of Orlando. So, we grew up. I grew up down by Disney. He grew up in Sanford, so we grew up about 35 minutes apart. And his family loved Disney as well. They were definitely a Disney family, but he didn't have a cast member as a parent, so he only went about once a year versus my dad had a silver pass, so we went all the time. Like any free chance we got, we went to the park. But when I met David, I had told him, about my obsession with Disney, about my dream. When I knew that we were going to get married, I said, well, sorry, I've had a childhood dream of, having my wedding reception at Disney. And, I'm so grateful he just went with it and said sure, whatever you like. And I'm definitely the bigger fan than him, but he's definitely kind of bought into the Disney way of life, and he really enjoys it now. We have annual passes, and any free chance we get, really. We often spend our birthdays at Disney and our anniversaries at Disney, and he proposed at Disney, and all the Disney things. And yes, our dining room in our house is transformed into Wonderland. And so he allowed that. So
So going back to your role with the company. How, when, and why did you join the company as a cast member first?
My journey as a cast member started when I was 16 years old. Um, Having a parent that was a Disney cast member, I wanted to be just like my dad. It was my dream to work for Disney as well. And so, and I wanted to be in entertainment. So, it turned out it was like the best 16th birthday present is that they were having auditions to be in entertainment for Disney on my 16th birthday. So that's actually what I wanted. I didn't want a car. I didn't want any of the normal things that a 16-year-old would want. I wanted to be a Disney cast member.
You wanted a job. You wanted a job for your birthday.
Yes. I did, and that's what I got. I actually went and auditioned, and thankfully I did kind of pass the audition, and they let me know that that I would be hired, and then I had to go through all the things that you do, like traditions and everything. But I became a Disney cast member on my birthday, and that's what I did. I worked in entertainment, as a character attendant for a while, and then I eventually became a dancer or a cheerleader in the Hercules parade at the time, and then I eventually moved away. My dad got a new job after I graduated from high school, and life took me out to California, where it was literally, I didn't want to win an Oscar. My dream as an actress was to be on the Disney Channel. That's what I wanted. So yeah, it's life took me to California, but it still took me back to Disney. And I joked that eventually all roads for me lead back to Disney in some way or another.
I think working as a cast member for Disney, which I somewhat regrettably never did, is so incredibly valuable for the experience that you get there. Like, it almost, working as a cast member for Disney should almost be like a requirement for kids because of what you can learn about business and customer service and so many other things. What do you think was the best or most valuable lesson that you got from your time working at Walt Disney World?
I actually learned a very valuable lesson, and pretty much right away. And I actually talk about this in my book. To me, Disney is just magical. It always has been. It's all about, just making dreams come true. And it couldn't have lined up better that literally on my 16th birthday, I was able to be hired. And then, it was my dream to be a dancer in the Electrical Light Parade. Like, that's all I wanted. And I just thought, like, it was just going to all happen for me. And then I quickly found out that you don't get to choose your role at Disney. And so I get hired, and it's not the job I wanted. And it wasn't at all, like, not even close. And so it was a valuable lesson because all of a sudden I was spending my weekends doing a job at Disney that, quite frankly, at the time I hated. And I hate using the word hate, but I really strongly disliked my job at Disney. And, imagine being a little girl and that being your life's dream. And then you show up at the happiest place on earth, and you really dislike your job. It was a lesson in not giving up, and, realizing that not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything is going to be exactly what you want. You're not always going to get what you want. And also a lesson in persistence. And, eventually I learned that, if I stuck with it, and if I didn't give up, I could audition for, other parades and roles. And I did. And about a year later, so after doing a job at Disney that I did not want, I eventually became a cheerleader in the Hercules parade. But it was a very valuable lesson, and I'm so, so grateful for it. And I'm grateful that my parents didn't let me give up and didn't let me quit.
Well, I think one of the takeaways is sometimes, it might not, you don't end up where you want, but you end up where you're supposed to be. And sometimes we don't know the reasons why until many, many years later. But, Ashley Eckstein, literally living the dream. You are Walt Disney World cast member. You end up getting a role in Star Wars Clone Wars as a new character, Ahsoka Tano. Again, the dream of many, many geeks around the world, by the millions. How and when does that come about for you?
It's so funny because that was a dream that I didn't even know I could dream for or wish for. I was a kid of many dreams, and trust me, I had plenty of them with Disney. But by the time I had moved to LA, and really I was getting in the swing of things with acting, the prequels were done. I mean, George Lucas had pretty much said he had completed the Star Wars franchise, and I didn't even think to wish to become a Star Wars character because I thought it was done and that chapter was closed for George Lucas. So when I got a call from my agent, and it was the night before the audition, and he told me that I had an audition the very next day to be the voice of Padme for this new Star Wars cartoon. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, they're making Star Wars again? Wow, okay. And I'd been a lifelong Star Wars fan. And so I was super excited until he told me that I was auditioning for Padme, because I sound nothing like Natalie Portman. Absolutely nothing like her. And it was a very hard voice for me to mimic. So I almost didn't go to the audition, actually, after, spending the evening really practicing hard. And I had several other auditions that day, and they were running late, and some of the very top voiceover actresses were auditioning for this, and I just was so discouraged. And my agent, he told me, he said, no, I want you to go to the audition anyway. You never know what could happen. And sure enough, they were auditioning for this new character, that we didn't even know her name at the time because it was so top secret, but it was a 14-year-old girl. And I'm glad I went, because sure enough, they said that I sounded nothing like Padme, exactly what I thought. But they said that I might be right for this new 14-year-old girl that was super top secret. And thankfully, they stuck with me, because through that audition and the callback, they wanted Ahsoka to have an Icelandic accent, which I, cannot do. And even Dave Filoni didn't really know what that sounded like. He wanted Ahsoka to sound like Bjork, and a true Icelandic accent sounds very Irish. And so I went in doing Irish, and he wanted Bjork. And when I couldn't give him what he wanted, I did something that I never do. I spoke back to the director, where I was like, I told them, I was like, I'm sorry, I am doing Icelandic and I don't know what you want. And by being a little snippy with him, which is very uncharacteristic of me, that's actually what he wanted for the role of Ahsoka. So I kind of booked the role just by being myself in between takes. And that was back in 2006. And little did I know that, and this was pre-Disney buying Star Wars. So little did I know that, that role and that character would change my life.
Well, and I think that interaction is very easy, very, very interesting, because you're working alongside master storytellers like Filoni and Pablo Hidalgo. So when it comes to Ahsoka's personality and the way she carries herself, she's such a strong character. Did you have any input in helping to define, this is what I think Ahsoka would do? I don't think Ahsoka would say or act this way.
Yes, I've always had input in the way that I read the lines and the amount of attitude she has and humor she has and sarcasm. And, Dave helped me, or Dave allowed me to, kind of bring my own personality to it and kind of help create this character from the beginning. I'm always careful to say, I've had nothing to do with the writing of the series. That all that credit goes to Dave and, the amazing, writing staff that he's had on Clone Wars and Rebels. But, and I always joke that you don't want the stories that I would write because they're not nearly as good as what they would write. But it was very important to Dave that Ahsoka be snippy but not bratty and not rude. And so he, I was lucky. He, felt that, you know, I, he allowed me to bring a lot of my own personality to the character. And so, yeah, I've always had a say in how Ahsoka is portrayed. And especially, Dave Filoni directs everything we do in terms of the episodes in the series. But every now and then we'll go into like a video game record or a toy record, and Dave Filoni doesn't always direct those. And I remember one time I walked into a record and they had Ahsoka saying "Yeehaw," and I was like, "Oh no, Ahsoka would not say yeehaw." And so I am kind of like the Ahsoka police every now and then, and making it true to character and true to the Star Wars universe.
And I love that because you are able to make sure that the character integrity, you are her, so you make sure that the character integrity is there. But like I said, this is sort of this continuing trend of this dream coming true. You are able to not just look at Disney cast members, you're able to be Disney cast members. You're not able to watch the parade, you're able to be in the parade. Not just able to watch Star Wars, you're part of Star Wars. And for so many of us who can't do that, the closest thing we can get to that is dressing up, right? Like our favorite characters or our favorite prince or princesses, just like you did when I read the book, just like you did when you were a little girl. Is that what makes you start Her Universe? Like, did this come out of a personal desire to do that? Was it frustration that there weren't enough, quote unquote, geeky clothes for women?
Yeah, Her Universe started, honestly, a bit selfishly. It started with a simple, search for a T-shirt made for me. I found myself immersed in the Star Wars world, and I was going to conventions and San Diego Comic-Con and at the time Disney Star Wars weekends, and I wanted Star Wars clothes made for me. And I honestly thought they existed. I just went shopping and quickly came up empty-handed. And so I knew that I wasn't alone. I knew that I wasn't the only female fan out there wanting merchandise. And so I started doing my research and found out that at the time it was 45% of all sci-fi and fantasy fans were women and girls, and 85% of all consumer purchases were being made by women. And so I thought, I'm not a mathematician, but these numbers aren't adding up. If you make us stuff, we will buy it. And I think furthermore, the main reason I started Her Universe is in my research, I found out that women and girls were being bullied, and being bullied terribly for, just being a girl and liking Star Wars, because society had told us that Star Wars was for the men and the boys. And so what started as a simple search for a T-shirt turned into a mission to really debunk a stereotype. And that was wrong, a stereotype that just wasn't correct. And, I write about in the book, and it's true. I ask myself, when I found myself in front of and staring at a giant need, I had no clue how I was going to achieve it. No clue at all. I didn't know anything about making merchandise or starting a company or anything. I looked at the need and I thought, what would Ahsoka do? And I literally asked myself, I said, what would Ahsoka do? And Ahsoka would stand up for fangirls, and she would do what's right, and she would start making merchandise. Like I literally wanted to be a real life version of Ahsoka. And so that's what I did. And Eventually it was a long process because I didn't go about it the right way at first. Lucasfilm actually told me no twice because I wasn't, I didn't start my own company. I didn't apply for a license. And eventually, once I did it the right way, they were incredibly supportive and gave me the license to make merchandise for female Star Wars fans.
So I love that because, we hear that you're making, it's her universe. Obviously, it's for girls and women. But I think you help guys, too. I wish that her universe existed when I was younger because I was a guy seeking out women that also liked Star Wars and Disney. And we didn't know that they existed because, like you said, the shirts and the outfits weren't there. So you're not only helping women, identify with what they like, but you're helping the men that are looking for someone that they want to, meet and bond with that have that same sort of geek fascination. So how do you go about choosing the designs for what franchise and what characters? I mean, are they, to a certain degree, are they somewhat personal to you because obviously you are a geek at heart?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I remember the day it was so overwhelming to figure out what designs to do. I mean, the Star Wars universe is huge. Where do you even start? And so I kind of set a rule and I set a standard for myself of, I said, I won't make anything that I wouldn't buy myself, that I wouldn't spend my own hard-earned money on myself. And then I also thought, you know what? I'm a fangirl. I'm making this company for me too. I'm going to design stuff that I want. And then I also started asking my fellow fangirl friends and asking what they wanted. And, all the designs are very personal. They have a story behind them. They have a meaning behind them. And I still to this day, I keep that same standard. If I wouldn't buy it myself, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to sell it. So it's and that's how I choose the properties. Kind of moving forward. Now I have more support. So for example, we are going to start doing some designs for gaming, for video games, and one of the reasons we haven't done that up to this point is I'll be honest, I'm really not a big gamer. And I feel like I don't understand the games because I always want to approach the merchandise and approach the property from a fan's point of view. And if I can't, like if I'm not a fan of something, I feel like I'm not going to do the designs justice. And so now we have several people on our team that are fans of these properties, and so they can come at it from an authentic point of view. So it's exciting because we get to design for all sorts of properties.
Yeah, because if you get it wrong, they'll let you know.
Oh yeah,
they will. I've been to enough, Comic-Cons and Mega-Cons to know that if you get it wrong, they'll be sure to let you know. But I think from all the things that you've been doing up to this point, you've done so much for girls and women in sci-fi fandom, and I have to imagine that you probably didn't realize at the outset that you were not just an inspiration, but a role model. And these girls are learning and taking away lessons from you because I think your story is so inspiring and so fascinating. I think not just for women, but for men alike as well. So how and when, Ashley, does everything that you've been experiencing on this journey start to plant the seed for you to turn this into something that's not on screen, that's not to wear, but something that people can read?
This actually started for me, kind of the seed was planted when I was on That's So Raven on the Disney Channel, because for me it was very personal. I was actually first inspired to be an actress as a young girl. I think I was 7 years old at the time, and my neighbor was a cameraman on the Mickey Mouse Club, and he invited me to a live taping of the Mickey Mouse Club, and I sat in the audience and I fell in love with it. And I knew right then and there that it became a dream of mine to eventually be an actress on the Disney Channel. I wanted to be just like those Mouseketeers. And fast forward all those years later when I got to be on That's So Raven, and we would tape it in front of a live audience. And at the end of the show, you come out and you do the curtain call, and I saw all those young girls in the audience, in the stands, looking at me like I once looked at the Mouseketeers, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, especially children's programming, you have an opportunity. Like, it's not just a live taping. It's not just an entertainment thing for them. Like, it was a dream for me, and going to that live taping literally changed my life. And so I realized it was a responsibility as an actress, especially to young fans. It became a responsibility, and I I I will not put I can't sleep easy at night and put my head on the pillow, knowing that I didn't do everything to, be a positive influence, that day with the platform I'm being given. Like, I think one of the worst things you can do is lead a kid astray. And so, then it became a mission for me to use entertainment and to use the platform I'm being given for good. And little did I know that, I was about to become the voice of Ahsoka Tano and, be the voice of this character that represents so much good to people all over the world. So now fast forward to this book. I actually met the Disney Publishing Group because of Ahsoka. I had the honor of narrating the audiobook written by E.K. Johnston for Ahsoka. And we went on tour and the book did really well. And so I followed up with Disney, and we just were brainstorming about what more we could do together. And somebody asked me if I would write my autobiography or write my memoir. And I told them, I said, look, I don't feel that I've lived enough of a life or achieved enough to write a memoir. I said, but I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys today if it weren't for the influence and the inspiration of Disney. Disney taught me to dream it and do it. Disney taught me how to make my dreams come true. So I said, if you would let me, I said, the book I would write would be more of an advice book and an inspirational book I would tell my story, but it would be more as a how-to. So here's how I did it. Here's what I learned from it. Here's the Disney characters that inspired me to do it. And here's how you can do it too. And so, surprisingly, they said yes. So, the book, it's called It's Your Universe. You have the power to make it happen. And it breaks making your dreams come true down into steps. And it provides a roadmap on how to dream it and do it. So it starts with a dream and then a wish, and then you believe, then you do, then you transform, and then you have to trust. You've put in all the work. You just have to trust in the process and trust that, the dreams that you wish can and do come true.
I love, as I went through the book, when you sent it to me, first of all, I love the way it's laid out. I love the structure and I love the chapters. I love that it's fun and whimsical as well, which I think helps in its readability. But it very much comes through in your own words and your own voice. And what I like about it too, Ashley, is it's not just something to consume. You made the book, I guess, as a very deliberate choice. You made it interactive, with exercises and journal entries, which makes me think that you probably, as a little girl growing up, you probably had a little journal that you wrote in. How and why was that important, that it's not just, something to read through, but that you wanted to become an exercise for people that read it as well?
Yeah, thank you for asking that, because that part was very important to me. I did. I wasn't very good at keeping a diary growing up. I would write in a diary for a week and then, forget about it. But I always had a journal, and my journal looked like a hot mess. It was a compilation of sketches and quotes and to-do lists and, ideas. And, but that's what worked for me. And so, I had an endless amount of journals. And so that's what I wanted this to be. And it's funny, I have a habit of doing things that haven't really been done before. And so, when they were I'm learning in publishing, there's like different categories, and they actually told me, when I said I wanted it to be a journal and I wanted space for writing in the book, that I wanted it to be interactive. They told me, they said, well, in self-help books like this, we normally don't put space for writing. They said, then that book would be in the journal section, and we don't see this in the journal section. We see this in the advice section. And at first they wanted to take it out. And I said, absolutely
not that there's section, not that anybody actually goes to bookstores anymore than there's sections. It's, we just search for
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I literally, I said, absolutely not. I said, we are going to keep these journal prompts in there. And I just, I guess I have the habit of breaking the rules. Blame it on Ahsoka, I guess. But, that part was very, very important to me, that, that this be like almost a workbook, a textbook kind of, where you read it and then, right there, like right after you finish a chapter, you're writing down, the 6 impossible things that you're believing in today. Because, I want this to be an interactive experience, because like I said, it's not my story. I share my story, but by the end of the book, this should be the reader's story. That should be the reader's roadmap and guide on how to make their dreams come true.
Well, and I love the fact that you not only integrate your own personal stories, which makes it very relatable, but you show how, Jedis like Ahsoka and superheroes and princesses helped also, and continue to help, act as role models for people that are, trying to figure out their own path along the way. And one of the things I loved about the book and really struck me was the way you headed certain sections about expecting challenges and accepting challenges, taking stock and breathing. And one thing really hit me, because it's something that I use when I speak and when I mentor people all the time, which is, what is your why? Sometimes we're so busy figuring out the hows and the goals. We don't stop to figure out what's the why and how important that really is.
Yeah, that was a lesson that I learned, several years into the process of her universe. And, I'm so thankful. If people know Star Wars, they may know Lynn Hale. Lynn heads up, communications and PR for Lucasfilm, and she's become a good friend. And I have to be honest, I was really burnt out with working so hard on her universe. I had worked, 3, almost 4 years nonstop, 7 days a week, and no breaks at all. And even though I love what I do, anybody, when they work that hard and go so fast, it's you can easily get burnt out. And she just asked me. She had actually just met Simon Sinek in his book and read his book, Start With Why, and she said, and she shared with me his message, and she said, Ashley, what's your why? And it really caused me to stop and think. And I was so consumed with this t-shirt design and why is this order late? And it was all about the product. And I was losing sight of the mission. And the mission was creating a safe and positive community for fangirls and fans alike, to create a community where we could one day, and I feel like, we're quickly approaching this day where we're no longer talking about gender when it comes to Star Wars, where we're just saying, what, Star Wars is for everyone. And, it's not just for men, it's not just for women, it's for everyone. And I was really losing sight of that why. And, I'm so thankful to Lynn and for her just being honest with me. And that's why I think it's very important. And that's actually in the transform chapter, because, you get to the point where, sure, you can make your dream come true or get the opportunity, but then you have to transform it into a reality or to keep it going. And that was the moment for me where I realized that's what was able to take her universe as an idea to a full-fledged community to actually transform it into what it is today.
Well, and I think sort of as a reciprocal to what you talked about, fandom not just being for boys and guys, I think this book, so people understand, while it does take a lot of inspiration, obviously, from your story and characters like Belle and Tiana and Pocahontas and Mulan, strong female characters, this is not necessarily a book that, as I was reading it, I felt, well, this isn't for me, this is for girls, because I think there's a ton of not just interesting stories, but value and lessons that boys, girls, men, women can get from it at any age.
Yeah, I mean, thank you actually for saying that, because that is important to me. When I get the chance, I am kind of sharing that, because as we know, and especially, this is why I was so excited to talk to you. If you're a Disney fan, Disney is ageless, it's timeless, it's genderless. These are messages that Walt Disney, felt that, was for everyone. And, as I mentioned, in publishing, I'm learning it's, they like to put things in different categories of like, okay, well, this book is aimed towards teens, or this book is aimed towards girls. So I get that. And I get that, my story is about starting her universe, which is, heavily female. That being said, it's important to me to share that this book is for everyone. I think dreaming is, not only genderless, but I keep saying it's ageless. I'm going to dream until the day I die. Literally, I will continue to look up in the sky and make dreams and wishes upon stars. And I think no matter what your age or your gender, I hope the world of Disney, will always bring inspiration, to everyone.
And look, it doesn't matter if the quotes that you put in the book, are from a female character or from a male character. They're strong and they're inspiring no matter what. And that's exactly how I felt. Look, I put quotes on Twitter and Facebook all the time, and I don't say, well, this is a guy quote. It doesn't matter where they're coming from. And that's how I felt as I was reading the book. And as somebody who's written a book before, I can understand and appreciate what a huge undertaking this must be, right? You have to sort of get your ideas down on paper or computer, the structure, the layout, the editors and the editing. But I think it's true, correct me if I'm wrong, that we approach projects like this the same way. We don't start off by sitting down with a blank piece of paper. We start off with a trip to the grocery store, and we load up on our superfoods to get us moving. I believe this is true, and I have a feeling that some of the foods that you incorporated into the writing process are ones that are not just for little kids, but ones that I did as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually have to say that the fact that this book exists is a testament that anything is possible, because writing a book is something I said I would never do. I was okay with that, because I honestly didn't think that I had the talent to do it. Whenever I would start out writing something, I'd have full intentions of writing a book, and then I'd end up with an essay. And so I just thought that it wasn't in the cards for me, and that was okay. So when I was having this conversation with Disney, and they said yes, surprisingly, to my pitch to them, I said, okay, well, there's one problem. I can't write this. And they said, oh, no, don't worry. We'll pair you with an author, and, you can talk with her, and she'll actually do the writing. And so they paired me with Stacey Kravitz, and she's an amazing author. And I highly recommend checking out some of her other books. She's written several kind of girl empowerment books, and she's awesome. So we spoke for about 2 months, and, after 2 months, she came back to me with, she's with kind of several bullet points. And she said, okay, I've been listening to you talk for 2 months. Here's what you're trying to say. And that's where she was like, it appears to me that you're making your dreams come true down into steps. And so she helped me come up with literally the chapter outlines, and or just the names of the chapters, like the steps. And then she gave me a rough draft of what she had written. And while it was excellent, I mean, like I said, she's an amazing author. But what I quickly realized is it was so far from my voice. It was not as though I was sharing my story. And I had a moment of panic. I literally panicked and I was like, oh my gosh, if I want this book in my voice, I'm going to have to write it myself. And that's literally what happened. I had 5 days at this point before the first draft was due. And I locked myself in my apartment and I literally, I got a bunch of Oreos and I took a nap first. I took a long 3-hour nap because I had to calm myself down. And then I woke up and I just started writing and literally wrote and wrote and wrote for 5 days straight. And I got about 2/3 of the book written after 5 days. I turned it into the editor. She gave some amazing notes. And at that point, I'd written like 21,000 words, which is more than I ever thought I'd write in my life. And, she gave me some great notes and she said I needed to add, about 10,000 more words, which at that point was nothing because I was like, oh my gosh, I had already, written twice that. And then I did. I had about 2 more weeks to finish the book after that. And I did. And I had so much fun. And it was an amazing lesson for me because I realized that I was capable of doing something that I said I would never do. And so yeah, I can safely say I'm no Shakespeare and it is not a long or heavy read, but I wrote a book. So anything's possible.
And I think, part of the takeaway is if you want to undertake a project like this, where it's writing a book or doing a blog or whatever that living that dream is, you need to not just dream like an unbridled little kid, but you need to eat like one too. So your menu and your diet during that time was not kale and protein powder. It was Oreos and Chef Boyardee and Cinnamon Toast Crunch
Yes.
and Lucky Charms, right?
It was. I don't know what it was, but I went back to my childhood and I literally did. I got Chef Boyardee, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Lucky Charms, and Oreos and locked myself in my apartment. And that's literally what I ate all weekend long. And actually when I first got the book deal, before I even, started chatting with Stacy, I went by myself to Disneyland, because I split my time between, my home is Orlando, still, but I work in California. So, I joke that I always have to be within, a 30-minute drive of a Disney park at all times. But, I actually went and stayed at Disneyland by myself at the Disneyland Hotel, for the weekend and just walked around the park and observed. And I watched kids and families and I really immersed myself into Disney. And I was like, what would I have wanted, especially as a young girl? What book would I have wanted? What lesson should I tell? And I remember I look like a hot mess. I was walking around the park just crying because it just brought, I was so grateful and, just to the world of Disney and what it's meant to me and the opportunities it's given me. And I remember sitting by myself, watching the electrical light parade, and just, making notes in my I had my journal while sitting on Main Street. And, so yes, so I definitely immersed myself in the process. And at that time, when I was sitting on Main Street, I think I had a churro in one hand, a hot chocolate in the other hand. So yes, all the magical foods.
I love it. And look, and everything that you've done, and I love how you've been able to bring it all together in this book in this way. I really think, Ashley, you've helped to usher in a new generation, not just of Star Wars fans, but Geekdom fans and heroes and heroines. I think Ahsoka, the character herself, was so inspirational. She literally put lightsabers into little girls' hands, and you can't sort of understate the importance of that. And now I think because of her, you've got Rey and Jin and, look, superhero characters like Black Widow are so incredibly popular. And I think there's so many more to come. And I think that you really did have a huge hand in that. As you sort of look back at your life and look forward, what do you want the legacy of Ashley to be?
I've I'm kind of using the phrase dream warrior. And to me, a dream warrior is somebody who fiercely goes out there and makes dreams come true, whether they're yours or whether they're somebody else's. And so my dream now is that I can be a dream warrior and help make other people's dreams come true. Like that's what fuels me. That's my why. That's my passion now is, I want to be a dream warrior. And, to me, I loved Mulan and I just love, that she was just a warrior, that she was so fierce. And so, that's my new dream as Rapunzel, and Eugene Fitzherbert, as they say, that's my new dream. And I'm asking people to be a dream warrior with me. I think this book, it's not me. I mean, I'll tell you, my husband and I are personally donating just like we're donating hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books to kids in need and kids that need this messaging. And I'm asking people to be a dream warrior with me to pay it forward, because especially as adults, while I think these messages with these lessons in the book are, like we said, ageless, that we should all learn, and read about these lessons and messages, literally until the day we die. But I think kids, it's easy to forget that they need to be taught. They need to be taught how to dream it and then do it, because I think we take for granted they don't always know the first step on how to make their dreams come true. So I'm asking that if you know a kid that's graduating middle school or high school or college, or just a young kid on their journey to start making their dreams come true, I'm asking to, pass this book on to them, and be a dream warrior with me. Because I think, if we can help make dreams come true, it's going to be a much better world that we live in.
And that is just one of the many reasons why I love and admire and appreciate and wanted you to come on, because of that message, because of that good that you want to do in the world. And something else that I've always loved, that I just saw recently, is how you are with your fans at signings and meet and greets. I even saw you, and this is going to sound way creepier than it is, I saw you at Galactic Nights a couple of nights ago. I was looking through the window of Sunset Club Couture, like a weird stalker from the outside. But I was watching it's really not that creepy. But I was watching to see the dynamic of you with your fans. And actually, I've seen this at D23. I've seen this at other comic conventions. You talk with fans like they're the only ones in the room. You look them in the eye. You give them such personal and authentic attention, which is a huge differentiator. And I think that's part of the reason why you are loved and admired so much, not just by the fans of Ahsoka Tano and the fans of her universe, but the fans of Ash Eckstein, and why they love and appreciate the way they do, and why I do as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Lou. That really goes back to my parents. My parents instilled in me as a young girl that you treat others as you want to be treated. And I actually once went to an autograph signing where I waited for 3 hours, and the people kind of signing my autograph didn't even look up at me. And I remember walking away feeling so disheartened. I was like, wow, I just waited 3 hours and they couldn't even look at me. And I remember that feeling. And I said, if I ever am in the position where somebody's willing to wait for my autograph, I will never do that to somebody. And it's so important to me that, that I get to know each and every person, and everyone's become, friends at this point. I genuinely look forward to meeting new people and building friendships. So, thank you for saying that. And thank you. You're not a creepy stalker at all. I enjoy our friendship, and I'm getting to know you over the years. And if anything, I'm the creepy stalker, because I follow you on Instagram, and I am so impressed and inspired by you and everything you're doing and all of your inspirational talks. And I just, congratulations on all of your success, and you inspire me. So keep up the amazing work.
Oh, that means more to me. And I'm just going to play that on a loop whenever I feel down about myself. What you said. Listen, I cannot thank you. I could talk to you all day, all night. And we still have to do, we're foodies. We still have to do our cupcake tour of Walt Disney World. It's a decade in the making, but we are going to make that happen. Just tell everybody where they can find all of the Her Universe stuff, as well as the new book.
Well, you can find Her Universe at heruniverse.com. We're also available on Shop Disney and at the Disney Parks and the Disney Parks app. Or Hot Topic carries a lot of our stuff, and Box Lunch Gifts carries a lot. But the book is also available wherever books are sold. So you can get it at Barnes & Noble or at Amazon or, your independent bookstore. So pretty much anywhere where books are sold, you can get the book or they can order it for you. And then also online on social media. It's pretty much, just me and a very small team of people. But usually you'll find you're just talking to me on social media, on Instagram at Her Universe, Twitter at Her Universe, or Facebook, the Her Universe official fan page. The Her Universe official fan page.
Well, listen, you had the power, you made it happen, and it's your universe. We're just living in it. Thank you so, so much, and congratulations again on your incredible journey and your incredible success, and I hope it only gets bigger and better for you every day.
Thank you so much, Lou. Thank you so much for your time.
Time for our Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week, where I invite you to test your knowledge of Walt Disney World's history, or I want to see how well you pay attention to the details, sometimes in what you see, sometimes what you hear, possibly in what you eat. If you think you know the answer, you can enter via our online form for a chance to win a Disney prize package. Before we get to this week's question, we're going to go back, review last week's, and select our winner. So last week I took you to not just one of my favorite lands, but still one of my favorite classic attractions in Walt Disney World, which is Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. It's all about progress. It's also about looking back at the past with a sense of nostalgia, sometimes a little bit of wonder, sometimes a little bit of laughter. And your question last week was to tell me, how long does it take poor Sarah to do the wash in Carousel of Progress? Well, thank you again to the hundreds of you who entered, got this one correct, and knew that in the first act, in spring, John, her husband, tells you that the Robins are back. It's just around the turn of the century, and of course, things can't get any better than they are today. They've got the gas lamps and the new telephone and all the latest designs in cast iron stove. And in fact, the reservoir keeps 5 gallons of water hot all day on just 3 buckets of coal. Of course, while John's in the kitchen talking to you, Sarah is inside enjoying her new wash day marvel, because now it takes only 5 hours to do the wash. Imagine. Now Mother has time for recreations like canning, polishing the stove. Yeah, John, if I was you, I'd get up and go help her. Anyway, thanks to all of you who entered and got this one correct. Again, last week you were playing for my 102 Ways to Save Money for and at Walt Disney World book. All 7 of my virtual audio walking tours of the Magic Kingdom, all of which, by the way, are still on sale for just $10 if you go to shop.wdwradio.com. You're also going to get a WDW Radio Magic Band cover, some stickers, a pop socket for your phone, and a shirt from our collection over at wdwradio.com/shirts. There, we have everything from a wide variety of WDW Radio logo shirts, Lou Sent Me shirts, as well as unique Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Retro Geek, and lots more. Again, go to wdwradio.com/shirts to find out more. And last week's winner, randomly selected, is M. Sakura. So, M, congratulations. I have your shirt size because you did use the online form, but if you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge. So we know that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is opening in 2019, where we finally get to step into and live in the world of Star Wars, not to mention the hotel that's coming as well. And we recently learned more about this huge immersive land, including the name of the village itself. And during this panel discussion, this past weekend during Star Wars Galactic Nights at Disney's Hollywood Studios that I live streamed on Sunday, story editor Margaret Kerrison revealed the name of the village in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And that's your question this week. Tell me the name of the village in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Now, because the show was a little bit late this week, and I have my Momentum Weekend Retreat coming up this weekend, I'm going to give you until Sunday, June 10th. I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time to answer this simple question. And I'm also this week going to give you a new prize that I've never given away before. I have some new WDW Radio vinyl stickers. You can put them on your car, your laptop, your wall, your mirror, wherever you choose. These are not available anywhere else except as a prize. So if you know the answer to this week's trivia question, or just go look it up, you can go to WDWRadio.com, click on this week's podcast. There you'll find the online entry form. Give me your name, your shipping address, and if you're a winner, I'll send you out your vinyl sticker. So good luck and have fun. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you again so very much for taking the time to tune in. I sincerely appreciate you spending and sharing your time with me. I'd love to keep the conversations going. More importantly, I want to invite you to be part of our WDW Radio family and community. If you go to wdwradio.com/community, you can be part of our Box People Facebook group. Come on by, introduce yourself, make yourself at home, because that's exactly how I and we want you to feel there, and start and be part of some of the conversations that are happening there. Speaking of family, I want to thank and welcome all of the new members of the WDW Radio Nation who joined the hundreds of you who are part of that community, including some longtime and new members like Noemi Fixmer, Michaela Jane Roy, Benjamin J. Bobier, Chris Payne, Herschel Linney, and Christine Tildesley Morrison. Thank you guys so very much for the love, the friendship, and support. And if you want to be part of the nation, not only to help the show, but get exclusive rewards every month, I create new scavenger hunts. We have a private Facebook group there, personalized Magic Band covers, logo gear, care packages from Walt Disney World. We do monthly live video group calls. You also get early access to special events and lots more. Again, to find out more, go to wdwradio.com/support. And don't forget that a portion of your contribution does go to our Dream Team project to directly benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. If you have a question you want me to answer on the show, you can email me, lou@wdwradio.com, or call the voicemail to be heard on the air at 407-900-9391. That's 407-900-WDW1. You can also connect with me on social. I am at Lou Mongello on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. And of course, as much as I love chatting with you online, I still believe that nothing beats a handshake and a hug. That's why I continue to do Meets of the Month every month. I want to thank everybody, so many of you, who came out to the Art Smith's Homecoming Shine Party this past Saturday in Disney Springs. Really had a good time. We literally closed the place down. I don't remember being out till 2 o'clock in the morning in a long, long time. I am still trying to work on a June Meet of the Month in Walt Disney World. I've got my retreat this weekend. The cruise coming up right after, but I'm going to try and put something together. Speaking of our cruise to Alaska, that's going to be from June 18th through the 25th. Make sure you turn on notifications on the Box People group or the WDW Radio page, as I'll be going live whenever and wherever and as often as I can. I mentioned my Momentum Weekend Retreat is this weekend. My Momentum Workshop Weekend is October 6th through the 9th in Walt Disney World. Limited to just 50 people. If you are looking to turn what you love into what you do, I invite you to join a small group of dedicated, like-minded entrepreneurs and some speakers. I have an announcement coming you're going to be very excited, I think. Some speakers for the event. Again, go to loumongello.com/momentum to find out more, and feel free to message or email me if you have any questions. Thanks as always to Becky Menken and the entire team over at Mousefan Travel. Whether you're coming with us for a group event to any of the Disney destinations or you want to travel anywhere on the planet, they can help you out with the best prices, all available discounts, and all at no cost to you. And go to celebrationspress.com and subscribe and order back issues to Celebrations Magazine. And as always, my friend, and you are my friend. Whether we have met yet or not, you continue to show it to me in so many ways, and I am incredibly and sincerely grateful to and for you. All I ask, though, is that if you like the show, please help spread the word. I want you to let your friends know about it by tweeting out that you're listening to this or your favorite back episode. Share a link on Facebook, and please, if you can, take 30 seconds to rate and review the show over on iTunes. Thanks to you, we have more than 1,500 5-star reviews. Would love for you to keep them coming. I want to thank some recent reviewers like Carman761 who says, Lou may not know everything about Walt Disney World, but he knows those who do. It's the best podcast about Disney. Lou's love for Disney oozes in every show. He lives to share his passion and truly cares for his listeners. A true joy to listen to. The show will feed your Walt Disney World addiction and keep you coming back for more. And Nestler says, I wish I could give it more stars. I found this podcast while trying to fill the dark times between trips to Disney World. Since finding the podcast about a year ago, I'm nearly through all 500 plus, episodes and have loved every single minute. My knowledge and love of Disney has grown exponentially thanks to Lou, who truly does feel like a friend, whether we've met yet or not. Come for the content, stay for the inspiration and food recommendations, and keep moving forward. My personal favorite segments to check out are anything Jim Korkis, who generously shares his vast Disney knowledge, Top 10, Wayback Machine, and of course Q&As with Becky. Start with a good mix of those, and I promise you will be hooked. Well, Carman and Nessler, thank you and everybody else so very much. If you want to rate and review the show, you can just search for WDW Radio on iTunes or go to wdwradio.com/iTunes. And finally, again, and most importantly, thanks to Ashley Eckstein. Thanks to you. You fill my cup. You fill my heart. You have given me this incredible gift that you might not realize that you give just with your time and your love and your attention. And maybe appropriately enough, I want to leave you with something from Ashley, from her new book, where she says, first of all, don't let anyone tell you no, you can't. And if you don't mind, please allow me to be the person to tell you, yes, you can. I love her positivity. I love her attitude. I love Ashley Eckstein. I want to thank her. I want to thank you all again. I love you, and I don't say that lightly, and I appreciate you, and I really do hope that this is your best day, your best week ever. So until next time, see you.
Hi, Lou. This is Caroline Percy from New York City, where it's very cold, and I wish I was in shorts in Orlando, Florida right now. But I moved here about 6 months ago after I finished my Disney College program, the alumni session over the summer. So I kind of joke with people that I literally went from my job description being to wave to strangers and smile and say, have a magical day, to getting on the subway here and reminding myself not to smile at strangers. But anyway, I really loved your last podcast, and I love all of them, but the emotional response one really got me thinking about everything. And I just really felt inclined to share. I think mine's kind of twofold, because one comes from a cast member side. I also did a college program spring of 2016, and then also as a guest. But my first one being my first program, I was in the Bippity Boppy Boutique as a fairy godmother in training actually at Disney Springs. And the second time I was actually doing merchandise in the boutique in Magic Kingdom, working in Cinderella's castle, which was the most magical thing ever, and I loved every second of it. But there was something so incredibly emotional and magical about transforming little girls ages 3 to 12 years old, and that moment when you turned them around and told them to open their eyes, and seeing the look on their face when they saw themselves with their hair all done and their makeup on and everything. That reaction in some of their faces are something I will never forget. I remember having little girls saying, literally gasping and saying, I'm so beautiful. And, back on the chair behind them is mom and grandma and sometimes dad cheering up or crying and telling you how important this trip is to them and how she's dealt with self-image issues, and you'll never know what this means to her. I mean, there's so many countless stories that I have that I'll never be able to put into words, but just the idea, like you guys mentioned, that when you're there, you feel like anything is possible. Everyone feels like their best selves, and that was really incredible to be able to transform little girls every day. But my second part would be being as a guest. Like I mentioned, I just graduated college when I went down to do my second college program. So as you can imagine, all of my friends were like, when are you going to get a real job? And why are you moving back down to Disney World? And I kind of struggled with it internally too. And trying to figure out, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be going off and, using my interior design degree that I just paid all this money for? And there was a lot of internal debate. But every day after I finished my shift, I would stay and go watch Happily Ever After. And of course, we'll all love Wishes Forever, but I'm a huge fan of Happily Ever After. There was something about when the Hercules song comes on and when he says, or the woman singer, when she says, I'm where I'm meant to be, that hit me in my gut every single time. There was some kind of sigh of relief, me knowing. Hi, Lou. It's Caroline again. I really didn't realize I was talking for so long, and I really appreciate it. I'll try to wrap this up. I am sorry. But I was just going to say, there was something about hearing that Hercules song and knowing that I was where I was meant to be. Something about that felt so right. Just staying in the park, knowing that I'd spent all day making people's trips magical, having a small part in making that magic. Everything felt right in that moment. And then right after it, knowing that I was moving to New York and taking this huge step in my life, in the beginning when there's that voice just saying everyone has a dream, and those that are brave enough to go after it and to pursue it, to find out who they're meant to be. I mean, every time I would get chills or just start bawling, crying, because I didn't know where my life was going to go, and I didn't know what I'd be doing next. I was moving up to New York without a job. I'm happy to report that I do have a job now that I'm very happy about, but obviously I miss Disney every day. Anyway, thank you so much for your podcast. I listen to it every single day on my cold commute to work and home, and it brightens my day, and it makes me so happy. So thank you again. Sorry for rambling. Keep doing what you're doing, Lou. You make us all a lot happier. Okay, have a great day. Bye.
Hello, Lou Mangello. It's Brian Rainey. I'm from Kansas City. Back again. I have an annual pass, and it's about to expire next month. So I just wanted to get one more trip in on it before it expires. But I'm real fortunate to be able to come back here. But, hey, it's nice. The weather's hot, and it's bright and sunny. And let's see. I don't know if you were the one that was talking about the corn on the cob in Animal Kingdom, but I finally found it. There's some corn on the cob in Harambe Village, and it's a real winner. So it's awesome. And you were right on that one. I highly recommend it. But anyway, I'm just sitting right here in front of Kilimanjaro Safari. I got a fast pass. I'm about to go into that. And left property today for a little bit. And I went to Gatorland. I've always wanted to go there. And it was an awesome time. They have like 2,000 gators just out and about. But anyway, got one more day, and I'll probably call you tomorrow. See ya.
Hi, Angela. I'm Sullivan, and I'm 6 years old, and my favorite building is Journey into Imagination with Figment.
Hello, Lou Mangello, WDW Radio. Fox family, it's Darlene Nagy from West Seneca, New York, currently calling in from the International Gateway of Epcot. I'm hoping you guys are having a magical time, because I know I sure am. I am on my birthday trip in Walt Disney World. Today is our last day here, sadly, but I only have 125 days until I come back, so I'm very excited about that with the Sternbergs and Keith. And then you guys, the group that's going to Alaska on the Wonder is coming up to a 22-day countdown. Woohoo! Get ready for all the activities and fun adventures and Beatrice and Dennis's wedding. Have a great day, magical time, love, hugs. I'm so glad I got to meet up with everybody that I did down here. Sorry I missed you, Lou, but there's always next time. See you real soon.
You've got